Well, welcome everybody to the Beautiful You coaching community. Today we have a spotlight coach, Kinga. Kinga is a certified functional health coach, and she helps women reverse the effects of burnout and chronic stress on their bodies by incorporating simple, healthy practices so that they can experience more energy throughout the day and feel like the best version of themselves as a woman and a mother. I am excited to dive into this conversation with her today. Today, she's going to be sharing how we can spot and prevent burnout. Is anybody feeling a little burnt out today? I'm like, I am. I was just sharing a little bit with Kinga prior that I had a long journey on the road yesterday and I'm feeling a tad lethargic this morning. So I'm excited to dive into this topic with you today, Kinga. So tell us how we can notice the signs of burnout and things that we can do, some tips and tricks that we can do to prevent burnout paralyzing us, because it truly can paralyze us.
Yes, definitely. Let me share my presentation with you to really answer all these questions.
Yeah.
All right, so how to spot and prevent burnout. Before I start, I have to start with a disclaimer, just to make sure everybody understands that this all information provided by me is only for general health and educational purposes only, and is never intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And of course, full medical clearance from a licensed physician should be obtained before beginning or modifying any diet, exercise, or lifestyle program. So before I start, just quickly, a couple words about me. I, like you, Stacy, mentioned, I'm a functional health coach. I specialize in stress management. I started my business 3 years ago after experiencing burnout myself and many different health issues that bubbled up during that time for me. There was always something in the surface and that I ignored for a while, but when I got into that stage of burnout, my body really crashed and everything just showed up. And then, going through the journey of discovering how to help myself, I developed this passion to really, for holistic strategies and, simple lifestyle changes that I really wanted to teach other women, other moms, how really with simple strategies they can turn their health around and feel much, much better. And like you mentioned, I help women reverse the negative effect of burnout and chronic stress with simple health practices. Before we get to how you can spot burnout, I think it's good to understand how our body responds to stress. And there are like 3 stages how that really happens. First, we have this alarm reaction to some kind of real danger or perceived stress. For example, somebody's chasing you, right? And you're trying to run away. That's a real danger that you are in. So that's this, our fight or flight response kicks in. And our body prepares you to really run or fight. Or you may face some perceived stress, like you're stuck in the traffic and you see this as a stressful situation. That's more as a perceived stress situation. So in that initial stage, your body, we all know, our heart rate increases, you get more alert, and you feel that, energy rush. So that's the initial stage. And ideally, when the situation passes, we should be able to go back to a more balanced state, rest and digest state. That's, how we tend to call it. But when the stress, when we are constantly in this stressful situation, then we move to the stage of resistance. So there's not the same, like, your body's not in the same alarm state. Like in the fight or flight response initially, but still your body is in that chronic stress. There is still maybe your stress hormones are constantly floating in your body, and in that stage you may start experiencing some of this. You stay in that state for a long period of time, and we'll talk about in a moment what are those symptoms. And very often people feel in that state, they call it state of burnout. If you're in that state for quite some time, you may feel it already as you're burned out. But that's more like an initial state to a burnout state, I would say. And after that, it's of course the actual burnout, the state of complete exhaustion, where your body is completely depleted. Your resources are depleted. In that state, you can really take a vacation or start working less to really make you feel better. It doesn't work anymore that way. You need much more to get yourself back to balance. So just a quick overview. So because sometimes I feel people sometimes mixed maybe a little bit where they are. So to get that, I guess, understanding, I think it's very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now how to recognize burnout. So some physical symptoms that you might experience, it's feeling tired all the time. You might be on, 5, 6, 10 cup of coffee. You go back to bed tired. It feels like nothing is helping you. Sleep problems. So when you are burned out, your stress is constantly up.
Throw a bone to the tourism industry after shutting down.
I am trying to text my son to stay off my internet.
So you might feel like you can't fall asleep, or even if you sleep, your sleep is pretty light. Like, you drop a pen or something and you hear it and you just, right awake. So that's also, not good. You need a good deep sleep to really recharge. Yes. Changes in appetite. You may you may feel like you're hungry all the time. Some people, when they're stressed, they're hungry all the time. Or you may just not want to eat at all. Stomach pain, headaches, body aches, really. Many people experience back pain when they in that chronic stress or a burnout state. Cravings, sugar, salt, that's really sign that your adrenals really need support. They just pumping stress, the cortisol, the stress hormones all the time. And sugar cravings could be a sign that you are in this burnout state as well.
I can check off all of those. I'd be a hot mess right now.
Yeah, and tired by wired at night. You may have, some people have this, I feel tired, but somehow I can't fall asleep. Like, what is going on? Again, that's a sign that your cortisol curve is a little messed up. Normally, our cortisol should be up in the morning at the highest level, and then slowly go down and be at the lowest level at night. And that's when because when your cortisol is at the lowest level, then your melatonin can kick in, which is the sleep hormone, to give you the good night's sleep. But, when you are in this burnout state, your cortisol level might be too low in the morning and too high at night. And that may disrupt your sleep, may disrupt, make you feel tired all the time during the day. And of course, emotional and mental symptoms, feeling irritated all the time, having this pessimistic view on life, your work, anything that you do. You can concentrate at work or, living in this foggy state. You can remember things. That was a big one for me when I was in that stage. I was like, I couldn't even remember conversation with people that I had, or I was wondering the things that were happening, if that was just a dream or that really happened. I was in such a big fog, living constantly in such a big fog,
Right.
that sometimes I didn't know what was going on. Did I talk to this person? I knew I was talking to this person, but I couldn't remember what I was talking about. It was really bad.
Aww.
And just, sense of hopelessness. Why bother? Who cares? This no motivation to do anything. You just want to lay down on the couch and you just pretty much don't care. You get to the stage that you really don't care, and that you really don't want to get to that stage.
No.
And then of course it comes the feeling of sadness, emptiness. Maybe you even shy away from being with other people. You want to be alone, and that may lead, unfortunately, to depression over time. So these are the main, I would say, symptoms. If somebody wants to get a better look where they are, I have a burnout assessment that Stacy will add with the presentation. It has a series of questions that you can rank, and you get a score, and that score will give you an interpretation where you are, which stage of burnout you might be experiencing.
Yeah, I definitely need to recheck my stuff because I'm feeling it on the physical side. My emotional and mental side is not doing too shabby. I've always really looked at myself as being an optimist. And I do have a lot on my plate. So concentrating and staying motivated to get through all of my things. And I have to write everything down because I think just in general, I've got too many things running through my head on too many different avenues that if I don't write stuff down, I will forget. So I don't know if that's part of the burnout or if that's part of just like human.
Well, it could be, but I think it's, you have to, I guess, assess, is it like I'm forgetting constantly things? Like it was for me, I was like, my husband was telling me something in the morning, in the afternoon was gone completely from my mind. Like, did you tell me that really? Register. Appointments, how many appointments I missed because I just didn't remember.
Right.
It was bad. And for going to this pessimistic, you said you're an optimistic person. I know people that from nature they are optimistic, but then when they get to that stage, just suddenly everything seems bad.
Yeah, I do know quite a long time, like back in 2008, the stress of everything that was going on in our business at the time really took a toll on me physically, emotionally, mentally. Even though I am very optimistic, I got to a brick wall where I just wanted to give up on life in total. So I totally feel that burnout is kind of like the cusp of like, if we can understand burnout coming into our life and understand our bodies screaming for help and resources to eliminate the pressure that the burnout is bringing to our health, we can eliminate the catastrophic negative pits that we can fall into. And mine was manifesting physically, which I was in excruciating pain. I was 3 points away from needing a pacemaker. All my blood was caked together. I couldn't get up the stairs without catching my breath. And talk about laying on the couch. That's all I wanted to do in the midst of my prayers of asking the good Lord to take me home. Like I just didn't, I was at that, like, I didn't even want to fight. I had no energy to fight, had no energy to fly away. I just wanted to end it all. And it was all stress induced, and it pushed me to the max. And so to these things that Kinga is sharing with us today, they're crucial for us to eliminate or to at least acknowledge burnout coming into our lives and paralyzing us in a place where we're ineffective and not actually living our best life. And whether we have a visual of our best life or not, we do have things that we can put into our life to have more energy, to have more clear thought, to have more stability of dealing with everyday stress, because let's face it, there's everyday stress. Did you pick up the milk? Did you feed the dogs? Did you take the kids to, all the things, right? So I don't mean to intercede on your presentation, but I do want to share and just the importance of understanding and taking this assessment that Kinga is so graciously sharing with us here today, which will be available in the app. So just go where you see this video, you'll be able to download her assessment guide just to kind of see where you're at and what level of stress or burnout you're sitting at, so you can take the appropriate actions and steps to better your health.
Yeah, and like you mentioned that, not to recognize the symptoms and not to ignore. It's really, I see symptoms as messages that our body is sending us. It's constantly sending us some kind of messages and little symptoms that we tend to ignore. I ignored mine for a long time until I couldn't anymore. And when we get to that stage that we couldn't ignore, that's when we start to take actions. But, the symptoms are there. You just need to, listen and take action earlier, because you don't want to get to the stage where then you need to spend more time, resources to get you again back to balance. And sometimes you may not be even able to go back to where you were before, health-wise, because your body got depleted so much. So
it's true. It's true. It takes a lot longer to repair than it does to maintain.
Yes, for sure. So we talk about like a little bit why you should not ignore burnout, right? Because there are plenty of research that suggests that majority of our chronic conditions that we deal with right now has some kind of connection to stress. So it really, when you ignore, when you get to the point that your resources are depleted, your body cannot repair itself anymore, cannot maintain the balance in the body, it starts to break down, and that may lead to chronic conditions, type 2 diabetes. Now we know that stress plays a big role in it. Cardiovascular disease, mental problem, depressions, anxiety. These are just really, to name a few, hormonal problems, thyroid. For me, thyroid hormonal imbalances were really big. That's where they really showed up when I hit that burnout state. Even skin problems that you may not think about.
Eczema.
Eczema was big. I had such a big eczema that it was just really burning my hands. I got to the point it was really burning my hands. So really, I'm just trying to emphasize that we should not ignore all the signs that our body is giving us to really do something, because there are imbalances going on inside of you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So true. Oh, so true.
Okay, so my 5 top tips for preventing burnout.
Grab your pen and paper, ladies.
Some of them probably you've heard, and boundaries are, I think, on top. Boundaries, at work, in your life, with other people, with your kids, your spouse, but also boundaries with yourself. And I think we don't talk enough about the boundaries with ourselves. When you say that you're going to take time for yourself to maybe rest and read, do it. Don't think, oh, I will do it when I first do this one thing, and then when I have time, I will do, I will spend some time reading or do something for myself. If you decide to work out, make time to work out. If you want to go to bed early, stop watching TV late at night and go to bed early. So those boundaries of ourselves are also very important. And of course, if you feel like there's too much going on in your life, too much on your plate, saying no is very important. Don't take on extra projects. Don't volunteer for PTA at school, even when you have a lot going on already. So boundaries are very important for our well-being. Next one.
Just out of curiosity on the boundaries piece, when you work with clients, do you help them learn how to say no without having guilt attached to it? Because so many of us women always want to help and serve and just we stretch ourselves to the max. And
Yes.
Boundaries is something that I'm super passionate about as well, but understanding, learning. I just had this conversation with my daughter yesterday, and I was telling her how proud I was of her, of being able to set specific boundaries in her life so that she can really just have that balance, right? And she says, yeah, but my problem is right now is just saying no without feeling guilty. And she was sharing a story with me, even just a friend that wanted her to come over, and she was sharing, I'm a huge advocate of, like, you have a few different circles of friends, right? Like you have your inner family, like the people that you would bend over backwards for, you would go the extra mile for. And then you have the second circle where you're there to support or be there or whatever. But there's, certain people from that inner circle might trump the needs of the second circle. And then it continues to flourish itself out. She was saying, like, this one friend of hers was not in her inner circle, but has been a longtime friend of hers that they've kind of drifted in some ways. But she was going through something and asked Victoria to come and to be there for her. And my daughter was getting stressed because she's like, how am I going to do this? It's like an hour of driving and all these things. And I just had to be okay with saying no. And at first, when she said no, she felt guilty, but then she realized that, no, I don't need to feel guilty. And I know that's a struggle that a lot of us have. So when you work with people with boundaries and understanding how to say no, do you help give them like the tips on how to say no and to really just build themselves up by saying, like, I don't have to feel guilty. I'm guarding and protecting my own energy and time and my stress meter, so that they don't end up carrying more stress because they had to say no, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I experienced the same thing. I mean, I think guilt to spend time on myself was at the core, I would say, at the core of me getting burned out, because I always thought my kids need me, my spouse needs me, my house needs me, everybody needs me. And like, I cannot take time for myself because there's so much I have to do. And I did feel guilty for doing anything for myself. But then, over time, I realized that because I wasn't saying no, I was taking everything, I was trying to be everything to everybody, my health suffered. And I know how, when I was not feeling well, irritated all the time, how that affected my kids, that affected my family in the negative way. And realizing that, suddenly is like, you know what, I have to take care of myself first. And it's okay to put myself sometimes first. So because when I feel good, when I feel healthy, I am much more loving to everybody else. And my kids, can feel it as well. Everybody can feel it. So
they're like, oh, mom, you're feeling stressed. Go take a bath. Go read a book. Go for a walk, mom.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah. And now I am clear, like, mommy needs some rest time. I need time for myself, and then we'll do whatever you want to do. So just, having those boundaries, and it's, yeah, like many women feel that guilt, but I think helping them realize that, it's also helps you taking care of your other people around in your life much better when you feel better.
It's true.
So going through that process is important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So next one, really also on top of my list, is the sleep and circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is this biological clock, if people are not familiar, that many different functions in our body are attached to it. And that clock is dependent on the light, daylight, or changes in the light, outside light. And when we, again, sleep, again, was a big one for me, because I was stretching, I had so much on my plate, and I think anybody can say the same thing. Right now, we have so much on our plate going on that we're trying to stretch our days so we can fit and do everything that we have to do. And unfortunately, our sleep shrinks. We tend to shrink our sleep. But unfortunately, we don't realize that when we sleep, that's when our body repairs itself. That's when cleanses itself. That's where memory is stored, that many hormones are produced when we sleep. So there's a lot going on when we sleep. That's why we need that sleep, the 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep, deep sleep, not waking up constantly at night. If you have small kids, I feel you. I had a kid for 3 years. He was constantly waking up at night. That really affected as well my health, unfortunately. But sleep is really priority. And even when I was changing my lifestyle, the way I was eating, and maybe more self-care, but I didn't put enough emphasis on sleep. I felt like there was still, I wasn't still there. It was still missing in my health. I couldn't get to that balance that I needed. And when I finally started putting more emphasis on good night's sleep, that's when I saw more improvements in my health. So sleep is big. When we are stressed, when we are in the constant stress and burnout, like I mentioned, this cortisol curve can be dysregulated, and that will affect the circadian rhythm. So we are not producing enough sleep hormones. Our blood sugar might be up too much at night. So that may help us, that affects our sleep as well. So optimizing. So how can you optimize this for this circadian rhythm quickly? Right. When you wake up, within the first 30 minutes, expose yourself to a sunlight, because that clock is dependent on the light, the changes in the light. Exposing yourself to the light will give that signal to the body that is a daytime. Also doing, some body movements in the morning, even simple stretches for 5 minutes. It will give that body that signal that, hey, it's a daylight. So that will try to reset certain hormones, certain functions in the body. And obviously doing it consistently, that's when you will see the results. And at night, again, trying to lower the light. At least 1 hour before you go to bed, turn off the computer, turn off TV, try to dim the lights.
Put your phone away.
Huh?
Put your phone away.
Yes, big one. How many people are scrolling in their beds, right before bed? But this is so bad for us to help us fall asleep, because
that's a tough one to break, because we've come to be so habitual to this tool, right?
Yes, we definitely get too attached to it. But it definitely can disrupt our sleep. So if you're having problem falling asleep, trying to do, even though it seems like insignificant, but it has a big, will have a big results. If you do it consistently, you will see results.
Mhm.
And the third one is really your food choices. Many people don't realize that what we eat is crucial for our body, our health. It's not only, food is not only means to, squash the when you feel hungry. It's really building blocks for your health. So when you eat food that is full of nutrients, you deliver the building blocks to the body for the energy, for building tissues and, hormones and everything that is going on. Unfortunately, processed food that is high in sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats, it doesn't give your body what it needs to function properly.
And it truly, not only does it like deteriorate our energy levels and all of those things, but it also wreaks havoc on our mental health.
Yes.
When we're feeding ourselves all that junk, it's harder for us to process the everyday stress or even just our emotions attached to certain things. We can blow things like, I don't know if you're like me in any way, but we can blow things wide out of proportion. I know even over the Christmas holidays, we tend to, indulge a little bit more than we typically would. And I had noticed, and this is probably the first time I actually seen or actually took notice, because I probably was ignoring it intentionally before, but I took notice on the way I was responding to my family. And I had to eat a piece of humble pie and apologize, be like, you know what, like I have been impossible to be around for the last number of days. So I am acknowledging my sensitivities and all of my irrational thinking. So, and I knew that it came from the way I was indulging. I was eating more sugar and wasn't eating consistently, and I wasn't getting my grains in. And so I actually seen the physical notice of the way I was responding to my loved ones. I was snippy, short-tempered, standoffish, and that's not my nature. So I was like, oh, yeah, no, hold the vibe.
Yeah, many people don't realize that food can be also a source of stress. If we eat crappy food, that will create inflammation, which is stressful for the body. And also, sugar can create blood sugar fluctuations, which in turn can cause fluctuations in our cortisol, which is one of the stress hormones. Because one of the jobs of cortisol is to, when our sugar is down, to signal to the body to increase the release of the
insulin or
the glycogen from the body, from the liver. So for energy, because there is a need for energy. So it is a stress. So that's why you may feel, and if you're already living in this chronic stress and then you add on top of crappy food, you will definitely notice how
we stay in a really shallow pit. Like we just kind of stay in this mucky mess. Like we just feel like everyone's out to get us, and that we're not being appreciated, especially as moms. Like there's so often we don't feel appreciated for all the things that we do. We feel like it's unrecognized. But if we are in that place of stress and we continue to eat in unhealthy things that adds to the stress, then we get to that fight and flight mode where we're starting to repel and think that everybody's out to get us. But that's not the case. We are our own worst enemy.
Exactly. It's definitely affects every aspect of us, really.
It does.
And when you stress, you can use healthy food to temper down that stress in your body. So for example, eating food that is rich in antioxidants, for example, because they balance that stress in the body. So like berries, those dark like red cabbage or red grapes. They are rich in antioxidants, so that can help, balance that stress. Eating complete proteins. Complete means they have all these essential amino acids. Like so, good source of that is animal products or chia seeds, hemp seeds. If you're more like plant-based, eating also fiber, because fiber not only helps us remove toxins from the body, which is again could be a source of stress, but also keeps our gut healthy. And there is a big connection between our gut and our brain and our emotions, how we feel, how we process things, how we respond to stress. Gut plays very big role in it.
I sometimes think that our gut is our first brain because
Yes.
it plays such a large role in our mental health.
Yes. So, and also, every meal you eat, balancing with proteins, complex carbs, fiber, healthy fats will prevent those sugar spikes, which in turn will prevent those, irritability, moodiness, and, adding more cortisol to our, fluctuating in our body. So eating, you can definitely use good, healthy food to also balance that stress, in your body. And of course, when we're talking about burnout, we are already depleted. So you definitely want to pay attention what you eat to give the body those nutrients that it needs to really recover.
When I was going through the healing phase of my burnout crash, the doctor told me, it's like, oh, all your reserves is empty. So we have to fill the bucket back up so that it could start to overflow and do its thing. So I had to take an extreme. I had to strip my whole entire diet and just eat fish and veggies and berries. I wasn't allowed chicken or turkey or red meat or any of that stuff during that season. And no caffeine. I wasn't allowed to chew gum because gum triggers the brain to create acids. There's all these different things I learned through that season. But it was through food and just understanding what my body needed in that season to help heal itself, because my reserves were so depleted. I took about 7 months. So if you are in that, under the water of that burnout phase, that give yourself grace when you are trying to implement that food to help rebuild the reserves within your body, because it takes time, especially if our guts are in havoc and it's starting to reject stuff like it was for me. And it takes time.
It was the same for me. Like I mentioned, I had the huge eczema, and I discovered that what I was eating on the surface, it seemed healthy, but it wasn't for me. My body was rejecting it, like tomatoes. Like I could not eat tomatoes. Seems like a healthy food, but it was just giving me flare-ups instantly. And obviously gluten and those things, grains. I couldn't eat grains at that time. For 2 years, I didn't eat any grains to really recover, to seal my gut again, and just, so, when you are in that state, it will take time, and you may need to make some changes. That's, some people are afraid to make those changes because they think they are forever and they will never be able to eat their favorite things and do favorite things again. But it's realized that sometimes it's temporary. Sometimes you may need to adjust for the rest of your life, but those more difficult changes usually are temporary until your body recovers. And then you can start again doing more of what you love again and what you used to were doing and eating, and once you really rebuild the body.
And the really cool thing about doing that is just like getting down to the basics of our nutrition, and then reintroducing, once you start feeling better, reintroducing your foods that you love, you're going to see how your body reacts to those foods.
Definitely.
So you're going to see whether it's going to be like, is it really worth it? Sometimes I'll take, red meat is hard for me to digest. That's just for me, right? But I love a really good, juicy barbecued steak from time to time. So I know that it's harder for me to digest. So if I'm going to have steak, I'm not planning on going for a bike ride or a run afterwards, because my body needs time to digest it. So just knowing yourself and being able to recognize what foods are lifting your health, and which ones are kind of, in the middle, that neutral zone where it's like, yeah, I can tolerate it, but it's probably not optimal. And then the ones that really make you feel yucky and make you lay on the couch, right? Like,
and if you from time to time, if, like you mentioned, you go for some foods that may not be the best for you, when your body is strong enough, it can handle it. Obviously, if you do it constantly, again, you will get yourself back to where you were, in trouble. But from time to time, you might be able to be okay with it. And again, also making like clear choices that, okay, I know it's not good for me, I'm going to eat it this time, and just move on. Often people are like, feel guilty afterwards, right? They eat something that they know they're not supposed to, and then they feel guilty and beating themselves up for doing it. Just own it. I'm like, I made a decision, I'm going to eat it. I know it's not good for me, but this one time, because I crave it, and just move on. And then next meal, eat what you're supposed to be in, the good stuff.
So good.
So yeah, so that's why I also put it based on your unique body's needs, because we are so different and we are in different stages of our health journey. And where you are today, what you're eating today might be completely different than what you can eat a year from now or a few months from now. So recognize this, and it's a journey. It's really a journey.
It's a journey, absolutely.
Okay, so another tip, daily body movements. I think moving our bodies, it's super important, because we are built to move. Unfortunately, now with our lifestyle, we sit in front of our computers most of the day. And if you think that now they call it, sitting, they call it a second smoking or something like this.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, so it's trying to incorporate some kind of, even if it's just going for a walk, to finding a type of workouts that you enjoy doing. I think it's my top tip. Finding don't go for something that somebody's telling you, oh, you need to lift weights or a run or something. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Find something that you really like.
Yeah, let's be real. If we don't enjoy it, we won't do it for long.
No, you will not do it at all. You will be resisting constantly.
Right.
And also, when you are in that burnout state, recognizing that sometimes some type of workouts may not be beneficial for you, because it may add more stress to the body. You may need to start more gently, walking, maybe yoga, swimming, or something more gentle. And as your body gets stronger, you may add more. For me, I like working out and lifting weights and doing like hard workouts. And that's what I was used to doing. And then when I crashed, even lifting 5 pounds of weight was a problem for me. Right. After a short workout, I needed a nap, because I was so exhausted. So that's a big sign that you are doing too much. Even though you think, it's just 5 pounds, like, what is that? Nothing, right? Yeah. But for your body, it's too much. So you need to meet your body where, where it is,
Yeah.
and build on it over time. And as you get stronger, add more, and just, recognize how you feel and the signs that your body is sending you, those
And don't
messages.
feel guilty.
Yes, and don't feel guilty about it.
Because especially for yourself, like if you were into weight training and doing all the heavy hardcore workouts and then you can't, we beat ourselves up. Like, what's wrong
Yes.
with me? Like, this used to be something I love to do. Why can't I do this thing? When I was going through my health journey, I couldn't even go for a walk without it wiping me out.
Yeah.
And so my doctor at the time says, you know what? Don't even worry about exercise. You're putting too much stress on yourself. You just
Mhm.
need to breathe and learn how to get into your belly when you do your breathing so you can get oxygen within your system. And that took a lot of burden off of me, thinking like, oh, I can't even work out. And I had gained a ton of weight in that season too. So I was really beating myself up.
Yeah.
And but it's sometimes your body just needs to relax, whether it be like just laying and doing some yoga poses, doing
Mhm.
the small stretching, and just learning how to get in tune with your breath, because oxygen's important. That's why exercise is so important, because it just pushes a lot of oxygen throughout the
Yeah.
whole entire body. And so just learning how to breathe deeply is a gift to be.
Definitely. And when you work, when you work out, in the right way, the way that your body can
Mhm.
handle, you're going to also produce all those good chemicals, right? That makes you feel good about yourself and help you with, very often when we are burnout, like we talk about, we are in this more pessimistic view and everything is like, seems bad. So that workout can also lift us up a little bit and give us the energy, because, we feel tired and it feels like we can't do much. But like I said, just gently, whatever your body can handle. Like you, Stacy, said, she couldn't go for a walk, so don't go for a walk. Start with something more simple, just maybe simple stretches. That's
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one is really spend time with yourself. Realizing, yes, like realizing what do you need, what do you want, what is that your body needs. And deep down, very often we know what we need. It's just because our lives, hectic lives, just we tend to ignore our needs. So it's, is it, is it self-care, reading, taking a bath, meditation, prayer, or simply just sitting and looking through the window and just reflecting, journaling, anything that you spend time with yourself, with your emotions, not ignoring emotions, not just recognizing what you're feeling guilty or not guilty, too much on your plate, frustrated. Just acknowledge those feelings, because that's where everything starts, by acknowledging where you are.
Mhm.
So that's a big one for me as well.
Absolutely.
So the last thing that I want to talk about is really the 3 key mindset shifts for preventing burnout. And we really talked about those already, just to emphasize them again, that self-care is not selfish, that we should not feel guilty for taking time for ourselves, because if we feel good, everybody around us will feel good as well. If we feel bad, the people around us will feel it as well. And self-care, taking time for yourself, eating right, sleeping, it's so crucial for our well-being. And we should not feel guilty about it. The second one is small changes done consistently can bring big results. We think that, first of all, that we need to make huge changes right away. And sometimes, some people, that's what they want to do, that's what they need. But very often you can start just small, with something that you can handle, and make it consistently, and then build on it. And once you see the results, then you're like, okay, now I can try another thing. I can change something else in my life, something small. and just build on it, because
Some of us-
consistently, that's how you build a habit.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of us won't even do all the things because we feel like we got to do all or nothing, and we're like, oh, that's
Yes.
too much, I can't do that, and so we run away. We just don't even bother. We'd sooner kind of sit in our misery and have our little pity party because we can't do
Yeah.
all the things. I love how you're saying just do small and then get some success and some habit under that and some consistency under that, and then add
Yes.
something new.
Yeah.
It's such an important tip, such an important tip.
And the third one, it's, it's okay to ask for help. I think for us women, we feel like we have to do everything ourselves. And asking for help is such a struggle. At least it was for me. It was really a big struggle. I felt like, I have to be able to take care of my kids and do this and this and this to be a good mom. Like the picture of a good mom was like, I'm doing everything, right? But so just asking for help when you know you need help, it's okay. It's okay to ask for help.
That's right. That's right. It actually shows more strength in who you are as an individual when we do ask for help, because we are recognizing a need that needs to be fulfilled, and we're recognizing that we can't do all things. A lot of people say, oh, you got to be the Proverbs 31 woman, but and in the Bible it tells us the Proverbs 31 woman, if you were to ever read it, just talks about all the things that she accomplishes and does, and she's like, it's impossible to be that woman. But if you really read, she is a master delegator. Like, she has a team of people that she has surrounded herself around that help her, that assist her, that she's got multiple hands now, not just two. So it is important to be able to recognize and ask for help.
Yep. All right, so that's all from me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that wonderful presentation, and the tips that you gave us are absolutely, they're simple enough that you can build on them. And I know that there is some members here in this community that do struggle on the sleep side. So if that's an area, like I've also had a sleep coach come and share, and a lot of things that Kinga shared with us today, if you work on some of those other principles that she shared, it will support your sleep cycles and help you have more rest and be able to calm your mind down and be able to get the sleep that you need so your body can heal and repair itself. And I know that that's a struggle for quite a few ladies that just have so much going on in their head, and they're pulled in 1,000 different directions, and but their eating's not on par all the time. They might do really well in seasons, but then we get into our stress fits, and then what do? We go to the kitchen, right? So often, so many of us do that. But I love the tips that you shared, and that we can build on them and then master a tip and then add something new. And explore when it comes to moving your body, explore different things. There's hula hooping, there's skipping, there's dancing, there's all kinds of different ways and fun and invigorating ways that you can move your body without it being like daunting and like, oh, some people love like the HIIT and what is that other one where they do all the crazy, like climbing ropes and smacking tires. What do they call that? CrossFit. That's what it is.
CrossFit, yes. CrossFit, yes.
I'm like, it's right here. If I stick my tongue out, could you read it? But yeah, it's some people love that form of intensity. I personally do not. It's intimidating, and so I'm like, no, it's not for me.
Yeah, just
so find your thing.
Find your thing. Yep.
So this has been absolutely fabulous, Kinga. So thank you so much for coming and sharing. If anybody here in the community is like, yeah, I'd love to learn more and really take on do that assessment that you've offered us and help me understand whatever results come out of that assessment, how do they get in touch with you? Or do you have a program or anything like that coming up that you would like to invite the community members to?
So currently, I don't have any group program that that's in works. But I work one-on-one with my clients right now. Usually, it's a 3 months or 6 months commitment. But I also do one time, like a jumpstart session. If anybody just wants to, just try, jump in, figure out, map out their steps that they would like to take to reach their goal. They can, definitely check out that. So you can, find me on the website, kingazerhuni.com/application. There's if you want to chat, get some clarity on your goals, on your roadmap to help you reach your goals. We can definitely chat about it. It's a free 30-minute session. And then if you feel like, you need my help, then definitely we can explore that option as well during that session. You can, connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram mostly, and LinkedIn. So Instagram, it's at Kinga Health Coach, and Instagram and LinkedIn is just Kinga /Zerhuni. So that's how you can find me.
And I'll make sure to put those handles in here in this video so you know the spelling, because it's a unique spelling. I wouldn't be able, I would botch it if I was to just hear it and try to spell it out. So I'll be sure to put the handles here in the video for you ladies. So if you want to get clarity on what steps you want to take to reach your health goals, you can jump on a clarity call how did you say your last name again? Kinga
Zerhuni.
.com/application, and I'll go ahead and apply for that free call, that 30-minute call, and just get some clarity, some understanding as to the assessment that she's so graciously blessed us with to walk through that assessment. Bring it to your call. She'll help you understand the areas of burnout that you might be struggling with. And then you guys can set up some steps that you can take to ultimate your health. And if you need some additional support and guidance, she's more than happy to do that with you one-on-one. And I do believe that there's a lot of people out there that would sooner that one-on-one connection. So that is fabulous that you still offer that, and not just jumping into a group program. Some of us get intimidated in that group setting, feel like we're just, we're going to not be seen or heard or any of those things, right? So it's really good that you're still offering that one-on-one connection. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you for having me. It was I had blast talking to all of you guys, talking to you, Stacy. It was really fun. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming and sharing once again. I appreciate you.
Thank you.